Howdy folks, welcome back. It's April 18th, 2020, and this is day 31 of the quarantine in Washington State here. And it's working. The curve is flattening. It's flattening dramatically, and it's given me a lot of hope for the future. And I hope that other states that are wanting to open up at this point would be a little bit conservative on that and allow this curve to flatten, or at least try and keep this bug out of their state. The Curiosity rover in this picture, as you know, or may not know, is only in Gale Crater. It's the only place that it's been roving around and taking pictures and taking samples. And in this picture, there's an area here where the rover has drilled into the dirt, or what you think is the soil, and oddly enough, once they get through, it ends up looking like they have metal shavings everywhere. In other words, at the top looks like dirt, but then when you drill into it, you get what I think could only be described as metal shavings. I'm sure NASA has some other great idea for that, but to me that's what it looks like. And you know, ever since I did this series of videos a while back on various bluffs, I think there were 3 or 4 different Gigapan pictures that had absolute incredible clarity and a lot of stuff in them. I can't even begin to tell you how much stuff we saw in those pictures. And this is a sample of some of them right here that are on my channel. And these things were the most telling pictures of any pictures that we've seen on Mars in Gale Crater. There is so much stuff in these pictures that is not natural. And so you tend to look at things with a different eye. And once you realize what you're looking at, everything changes, just like the title of this video. You know, we're looking at all these flat rocks, and you know, it doesn't look like necessarily like rocks. They look like a dry lake bed or dry ocean floor that was flat, you know, obviously on the bottom, and then everything evaporated, and you have these layers of what looks like you know, lake bed or ocean bed or something like that. And pretty much everywhere you look, you see this stuff. And then I got to thinking about those videos that I did, and then this picture here of the rover drilling into this stuff, and I suddenly realized, I don't know if it was suddenly or not, but I realized that all of this dry lake bed, cracked up looking stuff is not natural. It's not natural. This is similar, or it's the exact same thing that I was looking at on and around Mount Sharp that showed that entire mountain is covered with man-made material. And that's what this is. In every instance, in all of these pictures, when you see this flat, broken up stuff, it's metal. And I guess it kind of helps you to understand exactly why NASA would want to filter everything red, because if everything showed up silver, it'd be pretty obvious that, hey, this is all metal. Granted, I imagine there is dust blowing, and it probably does cover, but I think they help it out a lot by filtering it. And these pictures we just looked at, some of them are heavily filtered. I just kind of put them in there to show you how thick of a filtering that they put on. But anyway, so looking around, virtually every single place you look at and every single picture where you can see what you think is ground, you see this cracked, flat surfaces of you know, oddly shaped pieces, and it's all metal, you guys. And you know, thanks to those previous pictures and thanks to the rover drilling into them, it really helps you understand. So once you do understand that and you start looking around, you realize it is virtually everywhere. That in itself is amazing because of the vast quantities and the vast amount of ground that this stuff covers in every direction. Just adds to the mystery of what happened here. I think at least a couple million years ago. We've seen so much destruction and so much of this man-made material. It's many, many hundreds of square miles of this. A great example of it here. Now, if you think that this was a dry lake bed that got pushed up somehow geologically, no. Now, this more than likely was a vessel of some kind. We can't really tell by looking at it this time. But for sure, that material on the top was this flat, I'm going to call it skin or hull, ship's hull. But look at that. I mean, virtually as far as the eye can see in every direction, you see it laid out. And once in a while you get a picture like this. This is kind of one of the brightest pictures that we've seen. It really shows this material kind of coming through the dust, and it's very silvery looking. Now, this is a picture that I've been looking at for a couple of years, and really I was only focused on one part of this picture. There's a little tiny thing down there. We'll zoom in on it shortly. But this is one of those pictures, just like so many of them, you can't really tell what the scale is. I mean, this looks like something you could walk out and step on those overhangs there and break them down. But I think we've been offered an opportunity here for scale. Now, the arrow is pointing at what I think is a vehicle, and this is what I was focused on for so long. And right next to the vehicle, or just a little ways over, are what appears to be two people walking. Now, I realize that, first of all, this isn't a real clear picture because unlike those gigapans we've gotten used to, we're back to these kinds of pictures. They are blurry, and I do the best to bring them out. But here we have what I think is a vehicle, and you can see to the left going up towards the 10 o'clock position, it looks like two people walking alongside that debris. Now, NASA thought enough of it to take the same picture and melt the vehicle, and now the two people are missing. So thank you, NASA. I appreciate it when you confirm for me what I thought I saw. I guess they wouldn't be messing with it if there was nothing there. So that definitely confirms for me what we're looking at. So think about that now. Well, we'll get back to that. Here's something else in this picture. It's a vessel. It's half buried. It's destroyed. It has all kinds of things on top of it. And back behind it is something else that's, has the shape of a small vessel of some kind. While I wasn't here to really look at that kind of thing, I thought I would point it out. Now take a look at that vehicle down there. Now, do you get a sense of the scale of this? Look at that. That is huge. And I think people are living in there. I'm not going to get into that too much, but I think people are living in this place right here. And then off to the side, there again we have more debris. Now, I looked at this picture for 2 years and never realized what it was I was looking at. Now, I thought some of those rocks were strange looking. I thought, that I just couldn't put my finger on it. But we've been enlightened, haven't we? And now we know what we're looking at. Now here's a picture I've been to before. Some of you may recognize it because it has sort of a strange color. It is a gigapan, and it's not a clear gigapan. And I've said in the past, this is a really messed up picture, but I don't think it really was the picture itself. It has to do with the fact that, yes, it's a little blurry, but there's so much stuff on the ground here, and you can't focus in on it. It appears to be obfuscated. But right in the middle of the picture here is something that we've seen before. I'm not really coming to this picture to focus on this, although it is a very interesting little find right here. But I've been on taking pictures and working on this area for quite some time, not realizing that all of this white stuff here that I once thought was rock is not rock. It's man-made material, whether it's machines or pieces of machines. That's one thing the Bluffs showed us, was lots and lots and lots of broken machinery and crafts and all kinds of stuff. I just can't even really say. And so with this new eye, with this new knowledge, armed with this new knowledge, I look at the pictures differently. And once you do that, things start to appear. Now, as I said, this is not a very clear picture, and I actually had to go to the extreme to outline what is another triangular craft, one of many that we've seen before that is destroyed and sitting on the ground. And this one has been hit twice with something that put great big dents in it. We've seen where one was shot, had a hole through it with what I think was a laser. And this one here just had big dents in it. But look at the metal fatigue down along the bottom. Now, if you see the white strip coming from the right and then going back, that's the top of the vessel. And we're looking at the side of the vessel as well, where that metal fatigue is and where it's a little bit darker. And you see that round circular shape there? That goes across part of the deck on top and on the side as well. And up on top is this little triangular looking thing here, another triangular. And once again, we've seen triangular vessels with other vessels mounted on top of them, or at least sitting on top of them. And that's what this looks like. Now this little vessel here, this little triangular thing, looks like it has a little dome canopy on it, and I'll be gosh darned if it doesn't look like there's something inside that little dome. Whether it's a seat or a mummified person, who knows? It's really hard to say, but to me, that looks like a triangular craft with a dome, canopy, and something on the inside of it. Could it be a mummified person? Who knows? Could be. And once again, you can see that circular dent that they put in it that's on the side and on the top. And then towards the back, we have the same thing. Just to the side of that triangular craft that's on top, you can see a round indentation that something just punched a big dent in it and probably knocked this thing right to the ground. And this goes towards the back here, and you can see, just like some of the things we've seen in those past videos of these triangular craft with the skin torn off of them, various things on top. Now this picture right here, in my opinion, is the very best picture that we have of a triangular craft. And I don't know if this is just the front end of it or if it's the whole thing. It's hard to say, but it did have a turret on it, which is blown off or sitting off to the side. And in the front of that triangular craft, you can see what looks like a large opening, almost like a barrel mounted on a ball. I think that is a gun. And here's another example of the same thing sticking out of the ground. There's the front end of it with another gun on it. Laser gun, whatever you want to call it. It's a very wide opening. And if it's a laser gun, it must be a very, very powerful one. And here again, now we've seen this picture before, but here's another triangular craft sitting on the ground, just kind of sitting there, a very small one. And to the left of that is another little triangular craft with a bubble on it. But look how much of this stuff there is. It just goes on forever and ever. The whole ground, everywhere you look at, is man-made material. I don't think there's a picture of Gale Crater anywhere that doesn't have in it man-made material. That's astounding. Have a great day, folks.